In the space of 8 years, Iman Gadzhi has gone from pauper to a multi-million-dollar net worth, which is only going to get bigger thanks to his billion-dollar funnel. And if you're watching this video, you're probably a part of it. So what does he know that we don't? Well, I've spent the last week going down the rabbit hole of this, and I've broken it all down into 7 simple steps. So if you want to get rich in what Iman calls a digital renaissance, make sure you get your notebooks out, because right under our noses, he's doing exactly what companies like Uber and Airbnb wished they could have done. Now, I was wrestling for a while to find out what the best way was to describe his strategy, but I think 7 steps is definitely the easiest way to do it. And here they are. Right, now it's important to know that for each of these steps, none of them are mutually exclusive. In fact, they are so interdependent on one another that if you skip one of them, the rest of them will just capitulate and fall like a house of cards. Now, let me just preface here that I am not a super fan of Iman Gadzhi by any means. In fact, I actually disagree with a lot of what he says. But I absolutely cannot deny what he's done here is so far ahead and so genius, not only in its formulation, but also its implementation as well. And the first step is cash flow. As a teenager, you have very little leverage to begin with, and you really have to grind it out, not only to earn clout, but to earn money. And when you initially start earning money, you do have to keep that momentum going to keep that gravy train ticking. And Iman specifically started a social media marketing agency. Now, I think this is where he got a little bit of luck, because it was perfect timing to launch a social media marketing agency, and also it's a cash flow positive business. And by that, I mean he was reaching profitability more or less straight away. And this is absolutely inherent to the first step, because reaching profitability straight away allows Iman to control his business as it scales. He's liquid, meaning he's building up cash while he's in control. And to get to that stage, companies like Airbnb and Uber need to raise hundreds of millions of dollars. And while those big numbers are great, every time you raise more and more money, you lose a little bit more control. And more so, the majority of their wealth is tied up in that business. These big companies need to raise lots of money, build attention, build trust, and then sell. But this takes way too long, costs a lot of money to get there, and for every one company that succeeds, there are hundreds that fail. Iman has skipped all of those earlier steps, has gone straight to selling, and has almost guaranteed his chances of success. So what does he know that these big tech companies don't? And this is where we move to step 2, brand. So 10 years ago, Facebook and Google started what was the data revolution. Data was the new oil, but it's not anymore. And a few people have already figured out what this is, and they're taking full advantage. One of them, as much as I hate to say this, is Andrew Tate. Now, personally, I'm not a fan, not just because of his outrageousness, but I also took his Hustlers University course, and I thought it was crap. However, he's leveraged the new oil to make millions of dollars a month without having to do much work. And in terms of implementation, Iman Gadzhi has gone so much further than Andrew Tate, and will make 1 or even 2 orders of magnitude more than him. The new oil is attention, but it's not as simple as that. You see, Mr. Beast has attention, Logan Paul has attention, but Iman has something they don't. Targeted attention. In step 5, we'll go over why this gives him an advantage over everybody else. But having attention is useless if you don't know how to use it. And this is where we get rid of brand and we move on to jabbing. You see, Iman here started his attention grabbing strategy over 6 years ago. And all this guy has been doing is jabbing. You see, when people start building an audience, they need to do as much jabbing as possible. And by jabbing, I mean giving. It's like you're warming your audience up for something. No, not that. It means you're providing value to the audience, and they reward you back by giving you their attention. And the pitfall that most people fall into when it comes to jabbing is that they stop it too soon. Instead of giving, they begin asking. And asking is what I like to call punching. And if you punch too much, your audience get wounded. And eventually, after many punches, they're not able to fight anymore and you lose their attention completely. And for the last 6 years, Iman has only jabbed. He's never punched. And the longer you build up to that punch, the more impactful it is. And the reason he has been able to do this is because he has built up cash in step 1. He's liquid, which means he doesn't need these short-term payouts, because he knows when he finally decides to deliver that punch, he has one shot and he's gonna go big. $1 billion big. And this is when we move past jabbing and we move to killer punch. The killer punch is where Iman skips all of the hardship that companies like Airbnb and Uber face. He skips raising money because he's a cash flow business. He skips building attention because he has a brand. He skips building trust because all he's been doing is jabbing. And now he's going straight to the selling. The killer punch. But what is most interesting about this is that Iman is not going for a full knockout straight away. And it's genius. And this genius strategy comes in the form of a magnet. And this is where that targeted attention comes into play. So like we said, Mr. Beast has attention, but it's broad attention, which is why he started businesses in broad categories like Beast Burger and Feastables. This is good for scale, but he can't charge a premium. Because Iman has targeted attention, i.e. young males that want to become rich, he knows exactly what they want and has positioned himself as the solution to all of their financial problems. And they will pay a lot of money for that, which is why he's going premium. And before Iman is getting to that knockout punch, he's implementing what I call the magnet. Throughout his years of jabbing, Iman has positioned himself as an expert in social media marketing. And what he is doing right now is holding a magnet over his audience and attracting those that are interested in that industry. And he's now hitting them with a low barrier offer and progressing them further down the $1 billion funnel. Even though this course is selling for like $997, he's not doing it for the money. He's setting up for his knockout punch, which is where we move on to his ultimate leverage. You see, Iman understands this. He knows that his first business was a poor form of leverage. It was service-based. He was trading his time and expertise for money. This SMMA course is a step up in terms of leverage. He's providing information on demand and at scale. But thanks to the internet, information has like a ceiling for how much you can charge for it. And his next step is where he levels up his leverage game and he starts to sell software. You see, software has zero cost of replication, meaning apart from maintaining the software, the only thing that takes off your profit is the cost of customer acquisition. And again, this is where this man has an advantage over billion-dollar companies. Because of his brand, his customer acquisition cost is practically zero. And to add another string to his outrageously big bow, I believe that his conversion rate for selling the software is going to have an astronomically high value, because all of his potential customers have filtered down through his funnel for the past 6 years. And not only that, but Iman has taught them how to run their social media marketing agency, meaning that intentionally or unintentionally, he has positioned them with a certain set of problems that he is now going to be able to solve with his code. And given his numbers, I believe that when he pushes the button to launch this thing, it can reach potentially $100 million in annual recurring revenue very quickly. And because it's a software business, it can be bought. Probably for somewhere around $1 billion. Hence, the ultimate leverage in his $1 billion funnel. And that leaves us with step 7. His secret. How has he done this? It's simple and we can all do it. I believe he started with the result of what he wanted and worked his way back to find out what he needed to do to get there. Not only did he work backwards, he thought about how he could implement the path of least resistance to getting there. He thought long term and he implemented it very well. In my humble opinion, the hardest step to this is point number 1, generating a cash flow business, which is where 99% of people fall down because most of them fail, which is why I don't think you should start a business at all. Click here to find out what you should start. We'll see you in the next one. Slán.